Peter Blexley, former Met Police detective. Peter, a very good morning. Thanks for joining us on TalkTV this morning. So we've got, this is another conviction for drug dealers. It happens to be two Albanian men, illegal migrants, who've been jailed for what potentially seems quite a short spell of 18 months. What's likely to happen now, Peter, given that these are foreign nationals, they're not here legally? Will they spend some of this sentence in a UK jail, or will they be deported immediately?
I strongly suspect that they will serve a portion of their sentence in a British jail and then be deported, hopefully, at the end of completing that part of their sentence. But it's so apposite, this story, and it's very, very relevant because people like you and I may draw criticism and be accused possibly of spreading race hate with regards to the Albanian problem that we have. And it is a problem, and I've got no hesitation in calling that, because so many of these men from Albania are coming here specifically to be engaged in serious and organised crime. And here's the proof, because, of course, I did a bit of research today. And if you just go to your search engine on your computer and type the words Albanian convicted of drug offences, you will see stories of Albanian men, and there are many more, but I'm just going to rattle off a few, being convicted for drug offences in Minehead, Ipswich, Colchester, Bradford, Brighton, Sheffield, Wigan, Oldham, Cardiff, and there's more. So when people say we're exaggerating this, trust me, we're not.
And that's the point, isn't it? I mean, I'd heard about what's going on in Hartlepool, but I just mentioned that it was in towns and cities up and down the country, and you've just read out a long list there. But surely we should be deporting these people immediately. I mean, there's no excuse for us to incur further taxpayers' cash keeping them here.
Well, of course, when somebody's arrested and the evidential bar is reached and they are charged with a criminal offence, they enter into the criminal justice system, and that has to work its way through the charges and have some kind of resolution. If, of course, the government wanted to implement a system whereby people arrested for crime were simply deported straight away, that would open the door to people, I'm sure, appealing that they were being deported without conviction. So it may be a central and important part of that deportation process that they go through the criminal justice system and are convicted. Just a kind of a footnote to what I was saying earlier. In addition to all of the drug dealing that I mentioned, and they were a snapshot, of course, alongside those stories, there are mention of beatings, shootings, and other crimes of violence. So this clearly is a problem for our communities, for us, and for our overworked and understaffed police who have to deal with all of this.
Completely, but you're just talking there about the conviction, but these two individuals have actually been convicted and sentenced.
Yes.
So in a sense, I mean, the only merit in keeping them here would, I suppose, be to ensure they did actually serve some time at all.
Yes, and I suppose there might be some hope on behalf of certain people that that would serve as some form of a deterrent. But, of course, deterrents at the moment just simply do not seem to be working, because so many men from Albania are coming to the UK, and as has clearly been evidenced by what I've said this morning, so many of those are immersing themselves in the world of criminality.
It is a really, really serious problem, and of course they do actually now represent the largest group of foreign nationals in our jails by a factor of about 2. And in a sense, the government they keep saying they're going to deport more, and they've done deals to deport more, but it never seems to happen. And I think we just lose trust that they'll ever actually do what they say they'll do.
And the never-ending stream of men from Albania keep arriving on our shores. And this is clearly an issue that has not been properly grasped. It creates enormous issues for our police to deal with, because sometimes, quite frankly, they do not know who they're looking for, what their true identity is. And of course, it does, of course, cut to the larger question about our drug laws, but that's not what I'm here to speak about this morning. The drug laws as they exist and as they are enforced means that these people, when there is sufficient evidence, are arrested, put before a court, and if convicted, serve their time. And then, one would hope, are suitably and properly deported. But this is a major scale. Police officers will tell you. And that list of towns and cities that I mentioned is just a snapshot. They are operating
just a snapshot.
Elsewhere.
Peter, before I let you go, there's talk in the papers this morning on a separate topic, but one that consumes police resources, that the government's thinking of new legislation to clamp down on the Just Stop Oil protests for next year, but that actually some of the former police chiefs have written to the Home Secretary, I think, saying that it's unworkable and completely unnecessary. What's your view on this? As I understood, they should be using existing legislation properly.
Well, I've long argued that I think there's been a lack of courage from our senior police to actually enforce the laws as they stand. Because, of course, laws are passed by Parliament, they go onto the statute book, but essentially they are tested and interpreted in the courts. The wording that Parliament might see through is tested time and time again. And I feel that there is certain legislation already in existence that if the police had the courage to charge people and then test the interpretation of those words, particularly around the word significant and significant disruption and the like, then I think the courts perhaps might interpret these words more favourably in favour of the police action, and there wouldn't be need to keep piling yet more and more legislation onto an already often overcrowded statute book.
I think that's right. Peter, thank you so much indeed for your thoughts there. That's